Many of you watch the series here where we interview icons in cybersecurity know that I love network security. It's my favorite topic. And today I've got a real expert, someone who's going to help us understand how his company is using deep learning and applying some really interesting technology to make decisions, to draw threat conclusions from network traffic. So I hope you'll stick around. You're going to enjoy this. I think there's a lot to learn. I'm Ed Amoroso from Tag Cyber, and I'd like to welcome you to our video today. I've got a really important guest here today, important to me because I love network security so much. He's the CTO of Cynamics. It's Yahiv Yehezkel, and Aviv has been, since for the last 3 years, part of a company that's been doing some really amazing innovation in network security. In NDR is the broad category, but they've got a very unique approach here, and I'm going to ask Aviv to share with us some of the details. Aviv, welcome to the discussion.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Ed. Always a pleasure.
Hey, before we start, give us the 101 on Cynamics, and then we can get into some of the tech details.
Absolutely. So Cynamics is the only next generation network detection and response solution in the market today. We use standard sampling protocols, which are built into whatever gateway our clients are using, physical, virtual, on-premise, legacy, private cloud, or public cloud. All of them support at least one standard sampling protocol or API, which we utilize in order to collect very small network samples from the network and employ our patented, academically acknowledged, industry recognized state-of-the-art AI-based technology that we developed that enable us for the first time to infer from just 1% of network samples about the entire network on the 100% and predict cyber attacks long before they hit. So we're completely scalable. We can work with any network size, generic and agnostic, because we are completely can work with whatever vendor, whatever architecture then our client's networks has. And all this without a single appliance or a single agent. The onboarding is in minutes. We don't put anything in the network, don't install anything, and we start to provide value right away.
The claim to take a little teeny bit of the network and draw broad conclusions, that got my attention when we first started talking, because I understand that you don't have to collect everything, but I'd always been under the impression that to do proper threat prediction and to have something actionable, you really do need a big chunk of data. You guys have convinced me otherwise. Why don't you share with the folks watching what's kind of the secret sauce there that allows you to take a small amount of traffic and extrapolate some very useful conclusions?
Yeah, absolutely. So the key to understand here is that, as we know, cyber professionals, we know it, we deal with it every day. Cyber attacks and threats are not a singular event. It's just, one packet out of the blue that just coming and shaking a network. It's actually the outcome of a flow of events in the network. For example, it may start in just browsing the web, clicking the wrong link, getting your device infected, having this bad actor penetrating into the network, propagating inside it, infecting other devices, propagating to other places in your network, sending these keep alives and CNC messages outside until waiting for this attack launch command. And each step in this process has a network pattern. And our core concept in Cynamics is to detect these patterns, these underlying patterns, by cross-analyzing network patterns in different layers, different levels in the network. I like to illustrate our approach as the Google Translate of networks. It means we have the ability for the first time to translate very different networks to one specific language, say English, that our models, our AI-based threat prediction models already know very well, they are expert at. And it enables us to come pre-trained to whatever new client we're seeing. We don't need to train ourselves from scratch for weeks and months and until building these new models, new detection, anomaly detection models like legacy NDR solutions. Instead, we provide value immediately upon onboarding. And this is also the reason that our technology is really limitless. We detecting attacks of the whole spectrum of more volumetric to very low volume stealth looking attacks, and even revealing new unknown attack vectors all the time. We already published some of them and spoke about some of them in major conferences, and we keep doing it all the time.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about how artificial intelligence plays here, because you're building predictive models. And most people, when they're thinking about AI as they apply to our discipline, to security and to network, think you just need lots and lots and lots and lots of training data. And then the more observable data, the better. I mean, that's generally still true. I mean, more data is always better, but somehow you guys are able to do this with a small amount. Talk to me about like, how do the algorithms work? What sort of models are you using? I think you're using deep learning, right, for embedded in the engine. How does that all work?
Yes, right. So what makes our AI and ML so helpful is the ability to detect these hidden patterns that signal attacks long before they hit. So um, we analyzing these network patterns in different layers, different levels, different places in the network, north, south, east, west, between this hierarchy of threat prediction, as I like to illustrate it, in the gateways where we get the samples from, in the assets that we discover autonomously, and down to the very small endpoints at the end. So each one of these levels is getting a dedicated AI-based threat prediction from Cynamics, which enable us to cover the entire architecture, the entire environment and landscape, and all this without, of course, without using even a single appliance or agent. So maybe just to touch a bit more about the technology. Our AI technology is covered in several patents and papers, already six to date, six patents and four papers now that we presented in top academic conferences on cybersecurity and AI. And our technology is really recognized to be groundbreaking in its ability to learn so much from so little data. Um, Two pillars that I would like to emphasize. The first one is the new AI concept that we invented and got the academic recognition for. It's called autoencoder losses transfer learning. And it's built upon the classical autoencoder framework. And in this technology, we're providing the ability to transform autoencoder losses from different client networks that might be completely different one from the other, their applications and top talkers and the network themselves, the network sizes and volumes and architectures, and to transform the network patterns by normalizing them, by translating them to this one single framework, which we call the network blueprint, which enable our model to normalize and to compare apple to apple between these new networks that we just onboarded and all the different networks that we already saw, and each new attack that we simulate in the lab, and to come pre-trained and start to provide value right away upon the onboarding. So this is one key pillar of Cynamics technology. Another one, which is quite recent, and this is the recent paper which we presenting virtually actually next week in IEEE Big Data in Japan. So this is about our ability to detect threats in the endpoint without running any agent on the endpoint by transforming the computer network to graph neural network and learning a small vector embedding that represents the normal behaviors of each node, internal, external, server, workstation, printer, whatsoever, and using some additional deep learner in order to predict the likelihood of each communication and classify it as normal or abnormal. And this is just two pillars of our technology, just to give you the sense of the level of innovation, of breakthrough innovation developed in Cynamics. So, on top of known deep learning frameworks, we really inventing new frameworks on a daily basis, like this autoencoder losses normalization and the graph neural network approach, and we keep doing it.
Do you find that with companies changing their network so much, like everything's becoming cloud centric, SaaS centric, this sort of going from a hub and spoke to these sort of more, say, smart edge, secure edge kind of networks? Do you find, are your models shifting? Are you like, I would imagine over time there must be some evolution in the way these blueprints emerge, because the networks are just so different now. What's been your observation around cloud in particular, because that's such an important.
Yes, I think that's an excellent question. So today's interconnected digital environment is becoming so messy mix, right? The volumes, the number of devices, the number of endpoints, this combination of the on-premise network with the cloud native, this hybrid architecture that we're seeing more and more. And the legacy approach in the NDR space, which was based on using appliances, right? Placing appliances in very specific places in the network, collecting the network traffic and analyzing this traffic, just fails to provide some even minimal transparency across such increasingly complex networks. And as such, organizations must have a better way to have this complete network visibility of the entire network, instead of just leaving the majority of it. According to surveys and reports, like 90% being left behind as a one big blind spot. And this being solved and addressed in Cynamics, because for the first time, nothing is left behind. Our clients get this full coverage, full visibility, and full threat prediction across the entire network, no matter how big, how large, how diverse, how messy is it. And it's all because we are shifting completely from the appliance-based approach, which doesn't scale. Each appliance is limited by some relatively very small X gigabyte per second it can process at any given moment. And as we also saw very well over the recent years, each appliance like this just expand the organization attack surface with all the supply chain attacks, etc., creating very, very good backdoor to the core of the network. And unlike this approach, in Cynamics, you don't install anything in the network, not a single appliance or agent. You don't increase the attack surface in any way. And in addition, you don't need to compromise where to place these appliances and get a very, very limited visibility and coverage, because you get to see the entire network for the first time. So this is how our next generation technology is overcoming these challenges that the legacy approaches just can scale to and can cope with.
Well, what would a deployment look like? When somebody, assuming somebody listening would like to move forward with a POC or to deploy a platform, what are they buying? Where are they putting hardware and software, or whatever it is that they'd be deploying? Give us a sort of a operational sense of what deployment looks like.
Absolutely. Very, very simple, actually. This is really the first amusement we see from clients all the time, because forget about everything you knew about network detection and response. No appliances, no agents anymore, nothing like that. The onboarding is super easy, super straightforward. The majority of our client base, which is now hundreds, is just actually onboarded themselves without even any assistance from our side, because it's such straightforward. You don't need to prepare anything in advance. I'm talking to these potential clients out there. You don't need to prepare anything. You can just jump into our website, cynamics.ai, and click Start Free and onboard your firewall to Cynamics, which means just to connect it, to send the samples, network samples to Cynamics. Now, that's the main thing. You don't need to install a single appliance or a single agent in the network. You don't need to change the firewall or anything in the network. The sampling protocols are industry standard built in, which are already supported in whatever firewall you already have today. The only thing you need to do is one-time activation of this sampling to start and be sent to Cynamics Cloud. And you don't even need to think too much, because once you start this free trial with Cynamics from our website, it will take you through all you need to do. Usually it's just a few clicks in the console or just a copy paste that you get from us, and you have everything you need to do. You don't need to break your head like, how do I enable this NetFlow or SFlow, or what should I do even? Everything is completely provided to you in our via our dashboard, and it's completely self-made. And after the onboarding, like a few hours afterwards, usually you will start to see this first very meaningful detections and threats being detected by Cynamics in your gateways, in the assets that are being discovered autonomously, your DNSs, NTPs, other kind of servers, in the endpoints, as we just discussed about our graph neural network approach. And all this by seeing the entire network immediately after onboarding.
Well, that certainly does sound simple. I hope people who are watching will visit Cynamics.ai and get in touch with you guys. And I would imagine a POC or a trial would be something pretty easy to do. That sounds like a relatively straightforward process. So probably not a lot of downside to people giving it a try.
Absolutely. And the proof is in the pudding, and they always say it. Immediately, very quickly after onboarding, you start to see this full network like nothing before.
That's great. Well, listen, I always enjoy when we get together. They're very inspiring tech, and keep doing the work you're doing. Very important for our industry. So keep up the good work. And Aviv, thanks so much for spending some time with us today. Really do appreciate you taking time from your busy schedule.
Thank you very much, Ed. Really a pleasure. Thank you.
That's great. And for everyone else watching, we'll see you all next time.